Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. In comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from Earth 616 to Nueva, New York, to the Spider Society headquarters in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm the podcaster of mischief, Travis Snell.
Alliance Assemble. Volume 165. The original team is back.
Yes.
And we are on the eve of Across the Spider-Verse, so this is got a lot to talk about tonight. Rumors.
Oh, I guess you meant the week. You scared me, Mike. It's this week. I'm.
I don't
have a sitter. I don't have a sitter at all.
No, I am on strung out shape right now. I've had a lot of late nights at work, and Adeline, my daughter, just had today. Had her tonsils removed, and and had some tubes in her ears, so she's in bang up shape right now. So she's having a rough week. She's had that today, but she'll recover well. But I'm just tired. It's the end of the year, end of the school year, so I'm just pushing to the end. So.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And you just moved. So
no, I move in still. I still got. So this weekend's so it's all like the little stuff. This weekend's the big stuff. So it's like easier because it's a quick move, but it's like the beds and the couches and stuff. So that's what we did in 2 weekends. We did, okay, let's do the box stuff this week, and then next week we got a trailer and everything. But so it's like quicker, but it's the more just like the got to be active on the weekend, which I don't mind if I go to the gym or something, but that's by choice. This is moving's not as fun, but yeah. So, but we're I'm excited to be back. It's been a while since I said Assemble. I don't think I've been on since the. It was sometime in January, because I remember we talked about like some refacting fictions that came true and whatnot. Yeah, so that's why I will be back more on the summer. It's just that right now, when these guys do it on the Thursday, that's when my daughter's soccer practices. But that ends at the end of June, so summer I'll be able to come back here and there. But I'm excited. Brent was not available. Your Thursday was a little booked. So like, well, this is a perfect time for me to swing in and be like, okay, I can come back for a little bit. And good, get the show back on track. Since Brent's taken over, it's been some weird things, different hashtags, bad arguments about different movies and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I should just deleted everything when I got into StreamYard. Just took it all out. But no, it's good to be back, and I'm happy to fill in for Brent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
Brent is in education in a different way, so he is tough at work at there. So we miss him this week, but he will be back next week, because there's nothing that won't bring him back with a movie review. So so let's get the show notes out of the way, show plugs and everything like that. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule of shows, look at the show notes below, and you can subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUAPod Networks, when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers, our dollar tiers, our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job, and then we've got our $5 tier, with our early access episodes, ad-free episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows, including our show. We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU Rewatch. We've got 16 episodes up there right now, and we're going to drop the 17th episode next Monday morning. We'll be looking at Black Panther. So, so it's definitely a top tier movie for Brent and myself, but we'll be breaking down all the stuff with that. And I know the DC Alliance guys got their DC Through the Years. Animation Nation and the Walk Through the Verse have got their crossover going on right now, looking at Beast Wars and the ever loved by Travis Hines I think it's Beast Machines at that point. He can't wait to talk about that one. And so
that's good. It's not a part of my era, but I'm happy for him and stuff like that. But no, it's good. Yeah, we have that stuff going on. We're gonna at some point, probably next month, I think we're gonna try and do 2 crossovers. It's just been everybody. I feel like has been for for May and June has just been hectic as far sort of like that. Like even like you saw, Katie and Clay, they like took a month hiatus for Star Wars Alliance, which will be coming back and stuff. It's just that everyone's been a little bit busy. So I imagine July we're probably gonna get a more concrete Patreon schedule, and we'll probably do crossovers a bit more frequently and whatnot. Yeah. It's just happens to get busy in life, so
we'll definitely do June, because we got 4 weeks of movies of tons of stuff to talk about. Everyone's going to want to talk about at the very least a couple of them right there. So
there's for sure going to be a flash like conversation panel. I imagine.
Exactly. So
good, bad, or indifferent. I imagine people are going to be biting at the nips to get on that one. So
but we want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. But if you can't join us on Patreon, we totally understand. But if you can listening, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. We greatly appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for all your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. Yes.
Look at that cover. That's a great cover right there.
Exactly, yes. The OPB and the crew have got it going on with immaculate shipping, excellent customer service, ships around the world. You know, this is the new final order cutoff. The Spider-Man Clone Saga Volume 1 has been issued as a reprint. It's coming back to print at that point. Devil's Reign Omnibus is coming into print. Judgment Day, another new event book. Daredevil by Mark Waid. And, oh, yes, we can't forget also Spider-Man Ben Reilly, Volume 1 coming back into print.
I wouldn't lie, I've been tempted a couple times when I've been watching the show and whatnot, because it's smart to get the Ben Reilly stuff out right now, but man, and I own a lot of it, but it just looks so great in the big omnibus form, so I thought maybe it'll be a birthday present request from the for the wife. So
maybe, and use that code MARVELGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. It lets you know you're a listener, and we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, well, one last little small plug for them. This came in from OPB this week.
Oh my gosh!
That's very first, one of my most sought after ones to put into print, Spider-Man 2099 by Peter David and Rick Leonardi. You know, this is my I'm a huge Miguel fan. I love Ben. I do truly love Ben.
We all have our
Riley.
favorites, though.
We all have our favorite, but this is probably, one of my favorite variants. An amazing story. Just and Rick Leonardi is coming to HeroesCon, the local convention that we have here next month. So I'm very excited to finally have this, because he was here last year and it got delayed a whole year, so I could not.
You thought your window was missed there. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So very excited to get that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But one more last thing, as we keep on saying, Across the Spider-Verse is coming out.
I was just gonna say, I thought there's something else. Yeah.
Yep. There's one more thing. So, we're changing the schedule a little bit more next week. Since there's no Disney Plus show, we're not going to do a regular episode. But typically we've done the reviews on Friday nights. But Brent's got some family obligations on Friday night, so we always believe in the network. Family comes first, and #family. So we are going to delay our review one night. We will be going live Saturday night, 9:10 Eastern Standard Time, to bring you our live review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And the audio will drop on Sunday morning at that point. And we may be joined by a special guest that we'll make an exception for to help us review this episode at that point. So
I don't even know the special guest, so I'm in the weeds on this one and stuff like that. I don't know the special guest. I don't know how, they're getting close to finishing the MCU thing. I haven't even asked these two guys. I'm like. Yeah. Every time I see them, like, they're getting close to finishing. It's like, what's going to be next for them? Luckily, there's a plethora of other Marvel movies, but still, I'm like, I'm excited to tune in and stuff. No, Brent's lying. He's probably just seeing Spider-Verse again and again. He's like, oh yeah, family obligations, but he probably has like 10 tickets, him and David, and they're sitting somewhere watching it over and over,
If anyone has 10 tickets, it's probably David more than Brent at that point. So
yeah. If he is, Brent has 10, David has 11, so.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So again, bring you our review live next Saturday at 9:10 Eastern. The audio will drop on Sunday morning. So can't wait to do that. And all right, let us get into some of the news topics. We'll start off with a big rumor that dropped last week. If you're watching on YouTube, you can tell we're talking about Kang the Conqueror. And we know the controversy. Brent and I have kind of let our opinions be known that nothing we're talking about Jonathan Majors until something really more official drops. But this is related to Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. This is a big rumor. Marvel Studios reportedly has removed Jeff Loveness as the writer of Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. So this is coming from Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast. Saying that he's no longer writing it. In his most recent episode of the podcast, he said that this is unconfirmed, but his source is saying that he is off the Kang Dynasty and that he fell off before the writer's strike. Snyder was then asked if Marvel is restarting the Phase 6 film with a new writer. He confirmed that this is true, and it sounds like the studio is going in another direction. He says, yes, that's exactly what it means. Jeff Loveness, deserved or not, got a lot of criticism for his scripts, and yes, it sounds like they're going to go in another direction. That's what his source says. So right now, The only thing that we do know for sure with Kang Dynasty is that the director is going to be still directed by Shang-Chi filmmaker Destin Daniel Cretton, who's also currently working on the Marvel Studios on a live-action series adaptation of Wonder Man. So he's very busy right now. But, he had taken a lot of criticism for Loveness, taken a lot of criticism for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania script, and yeah, I know you had spoken about it, Brendan. I had spoken about like what are the chances of someone falling off, and I'd say, and I was firm on the idea that that all right, yeah, S-Pub's saying that in the chat.
S-Pub's always comes with a zinger,
Some of the zinger. Michael Waldron's the Kang Dynasty.
I would be happy with that. Yeah, we'll talk about that probably, but
But our writer for Secret Wars is probably safer because of his ties to Loki and things like that. A more positive fed project, while Loveness had been kind of over the last, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania just kind of was the nail in the coffin on that one. And they've got plenty of time to find another writer, but also we just don't know exactly how far with the writer strike this is going to push back the project. So,
yeah, it's one of those things that it wasn't too surprising. I agree with you because I remember it was a couple of weeks ago you and Brent were talking about that. I don't know if I necessarily needed him to be thrown off the project. I'm somebody that I've always been honest of like Ant-Man Quantumania, that's the last for MCU. I got that at the very bottom for me. So for me as like not a fan of that movie, I go, yeah, I'm happy with this. It's strange with MCU because it's tough where there is a guy that writes it, but they go through so many changes, right? I know I'm completely frozen right now, but I'll come back. So it's one of these things that, is it all on the writer? Is it the director? There's lots of rewrites and stuff like that, but it's almost like he kind of has to fall on the sword a little bit. And that's the thing where I'm very curious to see what happens here, and I don't know. And someone in the chat, maybe I'll look this up while Chris talks, and I'll fix my camera.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's a great image, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's gonna tune in. What's going on, Travis? But I'll check that with Daniel Cretton. Okay, all the games almost saying that. Will Creighton, who has written and directed all his other movies like Coogler, do the same with King Dynasty, and that was always a thing that was very curious for me that he was not writing it. Now, I think he is, but he wasn't like the sole writer, so I'll have to look at that. But yeah, what do you think about this as far as just that? Now, again, it's still just a rumor, nothing confirmed, but I feel like it's one of these, it's not a rumor that we go, I don't know. It's an unsurprising one. It's one that makes sense where I feel like we kind of all saw this as a possibility. Even if we were like, maybe give the guy another shot. I understand with it being the Avengers. That's where maybe they might go, hey, we don't want to give another shot on this project. Maybe something else, but...
we had talked about a couple of weeks ago looking at how Feige and the team at Marvel Studios was basically kind of shifting back towards more established writers because of some of the criticisms of giving some of the bigger name tentpoles that they had, whether it be the shows or the movies that are quote unquote untested. Now, it wouldn't be, I don't think that they're gonna rubber band and never give someone new. And you're back. I see you're
with a terrible angle. I'm back.
To totally never give a up and coming writer or someone who's kind of like hot and going like that, but also they realize, and they've heard, and Feige said he's heard the criticisms, and they're trying to listen to the criticisms to some extent with what Phase 4 was and what the future is. We do. I can't remember. I think the director of Thunderbolts is someone that is newer at that point as well. So
yeah, but it's the same thing for you, the kind of in that way. With Jeff Loveness, I can't remember exactly what he'd done before, but which some people don't like. He just like kind of came from Rick and Morty. He didn't have that many stuff.
So did Waldron.
Yeah, so did Waldron. But the Thunderbolts guy, along with the showrunner that's right now, they're just coming off of Beef, which they both were a part of.
True.
Which that's where I feel like you're right. Where the new people that'll get the push will be, hey, you're coming off a really hot acclaimed project here, let's get this person that. Where Loveness was not, I don't think he's one of these people like you said, like Waldron, either way. But Waldron, I know there's lots of people that don't like Doctor Strange, and even with Wanda's arc, I had some issues with it, but it doesn't matter. On paper, that was a nearly $1 billion film. It reviewed positively, audience is pretty positive on it, it had good legs, Loki was a hit. So it's same thing. If Ant-Man Quantumania,
one thing I'll say about criticisms about Multiverse of Madness is how many different times did they have to change it not just on COVID, but on like the order of the movie, what Marvel Studios wanted. Like they had to go through a lot of changes just in that. So the fact that the movie came out as, in my opinion, as good as it did, and Waldron putting that forward is still impressive.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's tough because even I saw today Liz Olsen saying like there's tons of rewrites all the time. So again, that's where even with Loveness, it's tough that the process of the Marvel films is not the same as other films. There's like films always get rewritten, but there's constant rewrites to fit like a timeline, a narrative, this delay and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I was looking at while the camera was off there. That yeah, so Destin Creighton there, Destin Daniel Creighton. It's three names I don't like saying together. That's like a she sells she shells on the she sword thing. But so he did the story and he did the screenplay. Thank you, and he did the screenplay. So I feel like that's something we had not heard at any point, that he was also co-writing this with Jeff Loveness. So I was the same as on the game, that I was surprised, and I feel like it's just going to shift there, and that could honestly even be it. That could be, remember we heard those rumors about that Ray Star Wars project. I know it's a different franchise, but follow with me that it was Lindelof's, and then they got in a different director, and the rumor was that there was a miscommunication as far as, he didn't really have a word of who the director is. There could have been a thing where Creighton is, has this idea of what he wants to do, and he gets the script. It might not even be Marvel being like, get Loveness out of here. If Creighton doesn't really like the script or isn't really jiving with the story, they're going to go with him, the guy that gave you Shang-Chi, who is like many people's favorites of the phase 4, right? So I feel like it could be that route too. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. I personally, for me and my taste, I like the move. I think it will just be Daniel that's going to do some more of the writing. Maybe he'll get some more people in there, but I feel like it's going to shift to him. He's just, like you said, doing Wonder Man, which is still like odd because I don't think Marvel has... They've never even officially come out and said like Yaya's cast in Wonder Man, right? It's all just been trades and everything. It's like Haley Steinfeld when she was on the set of Hawkeye and they still didn't announce that she was Kate Bishop. It's like, and Feige announced like, okay, we get it. So it's Wonder Man feels like it's like a secret project. It's not, because it's filming and they're in production, but it's very odd that that's just been very hush hush. Maybe Comic-Con will hear something. So
yeah, it's one of those where I sense the Marvel panel is going to be half of it saying, oh, you're finally confirming stuff we know. Yeah. Okay, good. And then we're going to get a few surprises here and there. But you're right. I mean, with the whole thing, with Jonathan Majors doing this, then the possibility of, moving on from Loveness as the writer, I don't think we're in panic mode necessarily. There is still time. There is still a plan, that they have an idea. You just need to find the right person to fit. And this is something that this is going to be the first Avengers movie since Endgame. Yeah. This is going to be part 1 of closing out this chapter of the multiverse saga. You need to do right. You need to make sure you have not just a great director, and I believe they have that with Creighton, but also you need to make sure the writing is top notch at that point, because again, I don't want to get into the situation that we had with the sequel saga of Star Wars, where you what I mean by that is like you have Waldron, he's still there. I think this is a shot across the bow to saying, hey, you're not untouchable either, but you are just doing this project and nothing else. So but whoever they get, I would like to hope that Waldron and whoever they're going to get are going to be working together on this, and like no one's going to be stepping on each other's toes.
Even to me, Destin should be working with them too. They're like, we've never had this before where Joss Whedon was, and not that they're as connected, but Avengers 1, Avenger 2, same guy, and then what is it? Infinity War Endgame, same directors, same writers. It is very odd if, let's say, Loveness would have stayed and you have Michael Waldron. Let's say it is Ryan Coogler. It's not going to be now, I don't think, anymore. But it's strange that both movies have different sets of writers and directors for these movies that are going to be tied. Now, we've heard some rumors about, hey, Secret Wars might be the more multiverse hero-heavy movie, but still, they're going to be tied together. So it's very odd, and I really don't know where they're going to go, because with Phase 1 to 3, they not had an easy, I'm not going to say it that way, but to me, Marcus and McFeely and then the Russo brothers felt like the obvious go-to, right? Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War were both very well liked, did very well at the box office, stuff like that. Many people consider them, Winter Soldier especially, many people consider the best of the MCU. people consider Civil War. Like they hit home runs, so they were the easy go-to.
Yeah.
This phase, you don't really have that. That's why when people kind of joke about Waldron, it's like, yeah, he's kind of close to that for them, right? Loki was a huge hit, and Doctor Strange made a bunch of money, so it made sense they go with them. And then the rest of the directors, that's why I was hoping for Coogler, but it seems like he's going to take a break till BP3. So with directors like Destin, he's only done one. You know, even like you look at Matt Shankman, like he's only done one project. It's they're in an interesting situation, but I think it's like what you guys have said, and I've said this for a while. I don't think they have to worry because one, you get the writer's strike, but two, there's no way this movie comes out in 2025 anymore. No. There's not a single way. I think we're honestly lucky if it's 2026. I have in a mind frame that it's 27, 28 between these delays and writer's strike, and especially we've talked about this before, DGA, other like I'm thinking it's going to be 2 years off. So I think they got time and stuff like that. So yeah, that's on the game. Yeah, we were just saying that. Yeah. It's just so they got time, and take your time. Even if there's no writer's strike, delay the movie because Ant-Man and Quantumania, whatever side you're on, you can afford to miss with that one. You can't miss with the Kang Dynasty. You can't. Obviously, that always has some potential issues, but that's one where when people talk about superhero fatigue, if you get the next big crossover and that's kind of a lame duck movie, that's when people will start to check out of the MCU and be like, oh, even the big one I couldn't even get into. Even though we just had Guardians, we're just doing great legs. I'm just saying, like, if you get to Avengers and that kind of drops the ball, people will lose faith in the MCU and stuff like that. So
yeah, but we will keep an eye on this and see if we get an official word or anything like that. But Marvel keeps things close to the chest. We don't have we don't have James Gunn that'll tweet out and smack down scoopers left and right, or even they're taking a
and even he's stopping. He found out after 6 months. He's like, you know what, this is too much. Can't do it.
Can't be sustainable. But all right, we're gonna take our first ad break before we get into our breakdown of the new Spider-Man 2 gameplay trailer. So as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. Give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, so let me cue up this video. Yes, Bubs. Yeah, the Jeff Loveness fired for being a scooper. that was fun for about a couple of hours there at that point when that was coming out.
Yeah, he did say it wasn't him, but it's we got Spider-Man 2 stuff, which we all kind of assumed was going to happen today. Luckily, it was left to the last minute there, but I'm excited to see this again. I was gonna say to watch it, but I'm like, I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't seen it. But
yeah, so we'll have a little bit of the audio in the background. We'll be watching this at that point, but it will be going at 1.5 speeds because it is a 10-minute trailer. We're probably not going to go over everything, but we'll stop at certain beats.
The only thing I guess we should mention is because the first 30 seconds is just the teaser and whatnot, right? Like it's the Sony stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what they cut from what they showed at the actual event was, and I'm not sure because you were busy at the time, they showed like this intro to Craven. Have you seen that at all?
I've got that queued up for next. If you
perfect.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, maybe start there. Yeah, because that's the beginning. Which I agree with everybody. It was a very fun fake out that you got this guy who he has a shaven head, stuff like that, and he looks like Kraven Hunter-ish, but then like the real Craven takes him out and stuff. So I thought this was a good kind of introduction to the character. Craven gonna have a big year, he has a movie coming out.
we're craving more Craven.
Craving more Craven, exactly. Video game and not, but I think this was a really good, nice little introduction to him, and I'm excited. Obviously, those were the 2 villains we did know about, was Venom and Craven from like last 2 years ago when they revealed it. So I think everything I'm seeing from Craven he feels very comic accurate to me, which I feel like the movie's not going to be. So if you want that Craven, I think the game is going to give you that,
Yeah, you'll say, man, I love Craven at that point. Then you go see the movie. It's just like, well, this is nothing like that. This guy wants to hunt. The other guy wants to protect animals. What?
Yeah. And to me, I actually did think this guy was Craven. I was like, oh, yeah, if it's a video game, like, sure, they can, change it up. Yeah, it will be interesting.
Some blood,
Yeah, exactly. But it will, like, to your point about the cross promotion, will be interesting to see what comes out first because this still doesn't have a date yet, which does worry me a little bit that they just say, we don't have a date yet, but we're hoping fall, or we think fall, but yeah, look at him at that. He's just towering over this guy.
I just like it just suddenly appears. I said, that's who I want is Craven. I just want like that.
Oh, yeah. To me, Craven should be, obviously, sometimes he's drinking some potions and stuff like that, but he should very much be like Batman, where Batman to me is like, he's supposed to be the pinnacle of the human condition, like body, mind. That's Craven, like this guy. And look at the jacket. You got these nice fur, I don't know, mechanics going on, or and I really like he has these skull like shoulder pads and elbow pads and stuff like that. And yeah, it pretty much just sets up like what
Very
we have.
comic accurate.
Yeah, it sets up what we get in comics, right? He's where he is. He hates he hates where he is because he's just beating everybody very effortlessly. And then this is where you could pause there. Yeah. So who we got there for the first time?
We got Black Cat, so looks like she's coming back.
Yeah,
Prowler.
Which for some people, Black Cat, they didn't get because she was only in the DLC. She had one mission, I think, in the main story. So for some people, it'll be the first time. And I'm not a sleuth like this, but some people have zoomed on Black Cat, and it's apparently a new costume. So there you go. She's getting a new outfit. So you got Prowler.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah, you got Prowler, who I can't remember if he was in the main game or DLC. I think he was just DLC as well. So that could be fun that some of these characters people didn't play with. And then you got Wraith in there.
Wraith, yep. Yeah. And...
Tombstone, right?
Yep, Tombstone, yep. Spider-Man, imagine that, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, and then
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah. So, yeah.
There was one in the... I want to see that one in the...
Is it going to show you, or is it going to be too far away?
That one's a little too...
Oh, that's
right
Taskmaster, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Taskmaster, okay, so he's... You know,
Heinz, I think we answered this. Which take do you think you'll enjoy more, the video game or the Sony film? Definitely the Sony film. No, definitely this game. it like who knows? Like obviously you got the animal activist thing going on in the movies, but I like the idea, as I've always said before, if they would have had him as a villain and then you do the transition. But hey, we're getting this, and Taylor Johnson's exactly not my top tier casting either for that, but maybe he'll surprise me. You know, he's a good actor, so. And people were definitely afraid at the end of that was all we were going to get today because it like faded to black after that logo, and people are losing their minds like, oh,
it was already a bad conference. Why do you got to end it like?
Yeah. Oh, there you go, S-Bubs. Thank you. Prowler was in the Miles game, not the Spider-Man game. Thank you. Because they're all mixed in, because I'm somebody that played them all. I got the original game, the DLC, and the Miles game. They're all just kind of mixed in my head as one big thing and stuff. So there you go. So Prowler will be back then in the main game. That's kind of cool, hopefully. So... Yeah.
All right, so this is the big breakdown, the big gameplays of the main game.
It's 6 months later after that Craven attack. It's such a weird, like, just pick a different time. But clearly you've seen, Craven's, taking over New York, and then we got our first look here.
And I will say this. I said, I can't wait to see exactly how he gets to see, because we're already, I mean, you'll hear it if you watch the trailer without us talking over it, but he is channeling animated Spider-Man at that point with the anger.
I really appreciated that, honestly, that it wasn't just the actor doing like a deeper voice. I appreciated that he sounded legitimately angry. And like you said, from the 90s series, Heinz will know, and like you shout out, he'd sound like he was channeling that. And I guarantee he was, so it was perfect. But what did you think of the actual, because it's not like the exact same, just clear body. What did you think of the suit so far? That it has like some ridges on there. It has like some material. What are you thinking about the symbiote suit so far?
It's definitely not. It's not like a smoothed out thing until like he gets kind of like more calm and everything like that. It's very animalistic.
Yes,
like he is definitely channeling more Venom-like powers than he ever did as Spider-Man in the comics. Like this is more Venom-like.
Yeah, and I think that's the best thing to do when you're in a video game, because it's like, one, you don't have to follow that because comics, like you said, it's usually a little bit different. But if you want to experience the attacks and stuff like that, all those moves that he was doing there, it looks great. It looks like you're going to really feel like you're playing like as a symbiote, which I think what people want and stuff like that, So,
and definitely, we say that like the Arkham games took superhero games to one level. Spider-Man took that idea and made it into a good Spider-Man game, like with even better mechanics. Yeah,
that's what the Black should have been in the Spider-Man 3 movie. Yeah, Spider-Man 3 should have been a lot of things. I agree, but and the game, like honestly, it's one of these things that it is a big deal, and I think it does warrant like what we're getting here, a full movie, a full game, and stuff like that. And that's what's kind of fun. That not that anyone wouldn't want to play as the Venom type, but if you want to just be like a Spider-Man character, you're gonna have Miles there, who of course has the Venom strike and stuff, but he's gonna be more your traditional Spider-Man play style. So I think that's really fun. And what do you think about, because people are, theorizing what it was going to do. It looks like now you're going to play, I don't think the whole game will be like this, but it's probably some big set pieces you're going to be switching back and forth mid-mission. How are you feeling about that?
I like that, because I mean, it'll give me a chance to, once Peter takes on the symbiote, it gives me a chance to be the quote-unquote Spider character. In Miles, I know he's not like the original, and he's got his own couple of different power sets with him.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed what I played with the Miles Morales game as well. So I'm glad we get to switch back and forth. I know some people are being boohooing the no co-op, but you still get to play as both characters,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to, the prediction that I'll have is that by the end of the game, one of the things you unlock is going to be Venom. You're going to get to at some point play as Venom.
Yes, I remember a long time ago. I think Brent had like a fact or fiction about that, like if you play as Venom, and I think so. Or I wonder if they make that, they say that potentially for the third game. But I could see you play as a mission as Venom, and stuff like that. And look at this. This was a great reveal where I thought it was still Peter, but the way they made him like hit the ground and like the tendrils are all like spruced out and everything, you don't know right away, okay, is this the Peter, is this Venom and stuff like that. He's a smaller build, so I thought so, but I like that they're giving him a very creepy horror vibe. And then right here you can see the suit is very, very sleek.
Yeah, I also like how Miles is somewhat cool with seeing that all the tendrils come up. Oh, hi Peter. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, better Miles than me. You might have already seen him like that earlier in the game, but it's just like, I'd be kind of still really creeped out by that.
That's what I'm very curious, because the only time he really questions it is at the end of this gameplay when he starts to act a little more anger, and he's like, oh, he doesn't act like that. So there must be some scene in the story that does show that he gets the suit and Miles is cool with it, because at that point Peter's still all right and everything. So that must happen. And again, I think this is smart where with the first game, they didn't really do this. They hit a lot of the stuff. They showed Mr. Negative off, but this is clearly, to me, a mission that's probably in the middle of the game. Like, you've gotten the symbiote suit and everything. But to me, this is smart because I've always said before what Sony needs to do. They need to sell symbiote-style PlayStation, remotes, consoles. Like, they got to do those special editions, and there's nothing better than, like, the black Spider-Man logo and stuff. And I forgot to say the other thing that has been now confirmed is that the Lizard Doc Connors is going to be in this game as well. Obviously, you can see him in here, but that's... So right now we got Venom, we got Connors, and we got Craven. I imagine there's probably one other. I'm still in the bandwagon. I think they're going to save Green Goblin till 3,
Yeah, because I think he's mentioning this one. I need Connors to save Harry's life.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I think if it's just that if Goblin's in this game, it already looks like lots is going on with Craven, Venom, a symbiote suit. You can save Goblin for his whole own game and stuff like that.
I agree, yeah.
So.
You can definitely hint at it at the end of this game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this is a really good reveal here. They both crash in the water, and there's just this thing in the distance. Massive, and they've Killer Croc'd him, and like Batman. It's funny you're talking about Arkham Asylum. He's like that, where he's a massive lizard. Like he's huge. So.
And it's almost like I saw someone tweet it out, say they turned Lizard into a kaiju, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I was supposed to say that. Looking like 98 Godzilla. Yeah. And I'm fine with that because you need variety too in these games with boss battles and stuff like that, right?
But even look at the sequence here, like Miles is surfing basically on the water. That's a cool new mechanic.
Yeah, and this is one that if you didn't know, this is one that's going to be purely just for PS5. And I think you can even see just, to me, some of the smoothness, and it's going to look even better when we get closer, because this is just like an upload to YouTube. Some of the, like the textures of the water, it looks very, very good. Miles' suit, like the way it's lit. So, but yeah, this one's just for PS5. So you're not going to have that crossover like you did with the Miles DLC.
Yeah, we didn't get a date. We just still got fall 2023. Yeah. So my if I were to be a betting man at that point, I would say October, November.
Yeah, it's definitely not September, because September that first game hit, and I feel like they'd have that date. I think it is.
You got Starfield. I don't know if they want to compete. I know Xbox.
Do you got Starfield? Do you got Starfield? You never know.
I don't know. Right now they're going with it. So
yeah, I'm gonna say that I'm 75% confident it's hitting fall, but I am still a little worried that we could wake up one day with a Insomniac post of, I know you're all looking really excited, because at the end of the day, the thing they have with Spider-Man is at any point this game releases, it's going to be a hit. It could release in January, be a hit. It's not going to matter. So I think they want it out for Christmas, because that obviously is probably huge for a younger community, right? You got people like us that'll be buying it weekend one, but for families and whatnot, I think Christmas. So I think it will hit, and like SBub said, November. They did God of War last year, but the working idea before was September, because that's when the first Spider-Man came out, was in September. So I think it's still going to hit it, but I still was a little worried that there was no date, like even November. We're June, and June's pretty much here. So I'd say July, August, September, October. We're about around 5 months. months, I was a little worried, but hopefully, I would say if it comes time to August and we haven't heard anything, then I'll be extremely worried. If we get to August and we've not gotten a date, that's when I'll start to say, hey, maybe prep yourself for a early 2024 release, because it happens all the time with games, right?
Yeah, and I think we'll start seeing some, because for people that don't understand kind of how ad sets work with the holidays, these companies start having the holiday ads already made during the summer. Like they have to know that information ahead of time. That's when we'll probably start seeing maybe some early leaks of, yes, it definitely will be out then, because if they're going to, like you said, this is a console seller too. I mean,
absolutely,
this is something where they can drive sales. Yeah, they can drive sales for this, and now it's still. It's not impossible anymore to get a PS5. It's hard, but it's not impossible. But like you said, that Spider-Man console, like you keep.
I was gonna say they'll probably make some new ones.
Miles, black costumes, or original. Like that's 3. Come on.
At least they better be at least making a Venom style remote. If they don't do the full console, which they did do with Spider-Man, right? Because that's how Brent got his Spider-Man one. So to me, if they're not making a console, that's a missed opportunity. But they better, and I think they will. They know it's Sony, but like you said, they got to start pushing that stuff out there. You don't want the Venom controller out there in October and the game gets delayed till next April or something, right?
No.
But yeah, I think it will hit it, but like I said, we had, not that it's the same situation, but I even remember Suicide Squad last month. That game was, but remember, it got delayed like a week and a half before it was supposed to come out, and there was already rumors that it was going to get delayed, but still, these companies all the time will wait till the last second, and if they need to pull the plug, they will. So I think it's going to happen, and then I'm very excited. It looks great. This is one of those things that it's like all it can do is disappoint me, because I think it's just going to be great. So
yeah, but yeah, we're both excited. We're probably day one purchases at that point. As soon as that pre-order goes live, we'll be on it at that point. But and I'm always curious. I've only gotten one of those big collector's edition ones like once or twice. For what I'm very curious to see what a collector's edition version of this game is going to look like. Like what are the big thing they're going to add to make people want to buy that? So
yeah, no, I'm the same as you. I've only done 2. I did it for GTA 5 and I did it for Arkham Asylum. I did that, and GTA 5 was really annoying because it came with this really cool money clip, but they wouldn't let you have it because it was deemed unsafe. So at Best Buy worked there at the time, so we literally just had to crush them. Even behind the scenes, we're like, "Oh, can we still take them?" Like, nope, we got to crush them. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But yeah, I feel like, as usual, look at even the movies. Venom is like a money printer. The black symbiote suit's a money printer. So Sony should get pretty creative with the bundles, the collectors, the remotes. Like they should be franchising this thing out. So.
Yeah, so it's gonna we'll be there for that date, and maybe we'll do a Marvel Alliance kind of breakdown of our first playthroughs of it at that point. That could be something kind of fun. Yeah. So, but all right, well, next story is looking at going to Hell's Kitchen. We are looking at some more casting and directing decisions that have been made on Daredevil Born Again. So Clark Johnson is not only to recur, but also direct episodes of Daredevil Born Again. This is an exclusive coming from Deadline. Clark Johnson, who is from Evil and Bosch, is set to recur and direct at least 2 episodes of the upcoming series Daredevil Born Again. That is currently filming in New York. Details about the character are kept under wraps, but Johnson is believed to be playing a character named Sherry. Marvel has declined, as always, to comment on these rumors. This is the first time in MCU history that a Marvel Disney Plus show has cast one of its own directors in a non-cameo role. However, Marvel Studios has previously worked with the same talent both behind and in front of the camera, as we most famously remember Jon Favreau, and also James Gunn is known to cameo in his own projects, and She-Hulk at Law director Jessica Gao got her own cameo in the show's finale. So it'd be interesting. Now, I am not personally familiar with Clark Johnson at that point, but knowing the shows he's come from, I've heard nothing but positive things at that point, so I'm kind of excited at that point.
Yeah, you look at like All in the Game just listed off. You listen. Oh, with Jinx, we hit the button at the same time. Yeah. It's one of those guys that he's an acclaimed TV director as far as,
and I know him more for directing, if anything.
Yeah. Exactly, right? So it's one of those that it's more talent. It's fun to see some of the like we've heard some other Netflix writers, like I think one of the Punisher writers is I don't know if they're on this, but in something else, like they're definitely dipping their toes in that universe again for as far as And I don't think it's so much as far as, oh, we gotta get Marvel guys, or girls and stuff. It's just that people that are talented at what they do. And you look at that list of things that they've done, like The Wire, one of the greatest pieces of, I'd say art as far as TV goes, it's ever been created and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's purely because of him, but you work on projects like that. So yeah, I like nothing more than just seeing the show that I am most probably the most MCU project aside from an X-Men, the most MCU project I'm anticipated be getting talent put onto and stuff like that. Oh, there you go. Thank you, S-Bubs. The Punisher writers were on Echo. So hopefully that's good. Hopefully that's a good sign and stuff like that, because I liked majority of Punisher. So yeah, I'm happy to see this guy added on, and hopefully it leads to good things.
Yeah, the name Sherry only matches up to one Marvel character in the comics, and it's a wife to a tracksuit mafia member. So
okay.
So not sure it's
no, but not not out of the realm of possibility, as we've seen them before, right? So it's one of these things that it's. But I think with you, it's probably just some new character, some DA or something like that. Like no one, unless it's a code name, right? That always happens too, where it's this is this character, but really it's something else. So.
Yeah, exactly. So let's continue on with our casting, and something that you and I are both very happy about when it broke last week. Brianna Hildebrand and Shioli Kutsuna is set to return for Deadpool 3, another exclusive coming from Deadline. So they have closed the deals to return and reprising their roles from the previous Deadpool movies in the Sean Levy-directed Deadpool 3. Hildebrand reprises her role in the first two as Negasonic Teenage Warhead, the mutant cord of Ryan Reynolds' Merc with a Mouth, with the ability to generate nuclear explosions. And Kutsuna plays Negasonic Teenage Warhead's girlfriend, Yukio, a Japanese mutant ninja introduced in Deadpool 2. So it was almost like Negasonic Teenage Warhead was just one of those ones that we needed to have back one more time. Been in the previous two movies at that point, and just plays a great foil to Deadpool. I love the conversations. I mean, it wasn't as much in Deadpool 2, but the conversations in Deadpool 3 were probably some of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah, it's one of these two that once they started bringing back everybody else, it felt a little bit off that they weren't announced yet, and it's just maybe deals would be struck, stuff like that. But it's one of these things that we got Colossus back, we're getting Blind Owl back, we're getting Vanessa back, like we're getting all these people back. So for me, it's one of these things that, okay, you kind of have to. I think both of them weren't needed. It's great they're both there, but yeah, Warhead was the one that I think was needed as far as a cap off. And and we'll talk more about this when we get to the questions, because there are a few listener questions submitted. But I feel like this is going to be a send off to that Deadpool universe, so that this Deadpool can maybe, come into a different universe and that be his home. I feel like you should get them all. I don't know what their screen time is going to be, because you even got people like Halle Berry posted on her Instagram with a very Storm-like haircut. And it's like, well, if you got a movie with Hugh Jackman, Owen Wilson, Storm, and maybe some other X-Men people, I think a lot of these people are maybe going to just have like a scene or two, but that's fine with me as long as it is like kind of in a send-off sort of way and stuff like that, even if it's a comedic sort of send-off way. So I'm happy they're back. So
yeah, as Omar Daniels saying, hopefully Josh Brolin and Zazie Beetz can return as Cable and Domino. I would put more emphasis probably Zazie Beetz returning than Josh Brolin, but Josh Brolin has said he had a lot of fun on the set playing Cable, and so
I think Cable I could see in a smaller role, even a cameo. Zazie Beetz, I think that's going to happen. I feel like even some people have said that's kind of rumored. But again, who knows? It's one of these things that scheduling, well, maybe some people's schedule will open up now with some other films maybe being delayed because strikes and all that. But I think you'll see them both again. I don't know if it's for sure in this film. I would say yes, but I think you'll see them both again.
Yeah, so very excited. Again, we know they have officially started filming Deadpool 3, thanks to the actor who is reprising his role as Colossus. Posted that they are back in production at that point, but we'll see for how long, because who knows who's striking next.
Yeah, well, luckily they're in Vancouver, so the writers aren't going to be like, Vancouver's only 3 hours away from me. There's going to be no writers picketed in here, so they're fine here. And I think
you can jump on set. You can
yeah, I thought about it, but that's not how I want to meet them. One day I'll meet them when I get arrested outside their house trying to get an autograph. But no, I'm very excited. Wolverine, I'm doing it already. Hugh Jackman shaved up his beard. Looks like he's going to be bearded up for this, but he has like a more well-kept one. So I'm happy. I think it's going to, and I know people have that whole thing about how, Ryan Reynolds won't be able to improv, but, Sean Levy's allowed to make additions to the script as a director, so I guarantee you a lot of Ryan's ideas would just turn into, oh well, Sean had this really great idea, and Sean had this great idea, like, or Hugh had this great idea, like. Don't trust me. There's no way in the universe Ryan Reynolds is not improvising on that set. There's not a single way. Yep. They'll say, "Oh, it happened this way." There's no way you're telling me. And if anyone spoils it, they'll fire them off the set. It's not going to happen. Ryan Reynolds is going to get to throw off a couple lines, and I'm excited that we might get some delays of films, but if this is the one we could get, I'm very happy about this because this is. I guess Daredevil, but it's tough between Secret Wars, Daredevil, and this, but I'd probably have to still actually put this as my number one because I never thought Jackman would be coming back for this. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely the number one most, probably after the Batman, anything comic book related, my most anticipated. So,
well, especially the rumors we've heard about who's coming back in this, who hasn't been officially announced, this possible idea of what they're doing with the plot at that point, proving you, Travis told you so at that point. So about what is going to be happening. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this and see what other people come back to it. But unfortunately, we do have to end the show in the news segment of the show with a unfortunate passing of a Marvel actor who's been with us for a while. It was announced this week that Ray Stevenson had passed away. The Irish actor who starred in films like Punisher Warzone, King Arthur, and the Thor films, and shows like HBO's Rome, and the upcoming Ahsoka series, died on Sunday in Italy. Variety has confirmed with his publicist. He was 58 years old. No cause of death was available. However, an Italian website, Specoli, first reported that Stevenson's death, noting that he had been hospitalized on the island of Ischia during the production of a new film, Casino on Ischia. So, but unfortunate, gone too soon. He was born in Northern Ireland in 1964. His career began appearing on TV shows in the 1990s and began landing action roles in Hollywood films and starting in the 2000s. His first major role came in Antoine Fuqua's 2004's adventure King Arthur, where he played Dragonet, one of the Knights of the Round Table. And in 2008, he landed the starring role in the Marvel film Punisher Warzone, which was Punisher's dark. That movie was dark.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's part of the reason why I didn't do the greatest at the box office, because it was just so dark. It's one of these things that was the first thing I had ever seen him in knowingly. I think I'd seen him in some of those other projects before, but being a Marvel fan and a big Frank Castle fan, check that out. And he's actually a great Punisher. He's very underrated because I feel like that's actually a movie tons of people still haven't seen, because like I said, I think it did come out and it wasn't, it didn't get the biggest box office run, but it's very dark, it's very grimy, but it's I think he did at that point before Bernthal, to me he was my favorite Punisher out of definitely Lundgren and Thomas Jane. He's the guy I put at number one, and he did a great job. And it's a fun movie. Everyone, if you haven't watched it, check it out this weekend, because it's a good time. You got a more accurate comic book Jigsaw than the Netflix show, So
very much. But from the MCU days, he played one of the Warriors 3, Volstagg at that point, and he also appeared in the series Rome, also in the Divergent series as well, and again, just. We will see him in some of the most recent thing we're going to see him in is Ahsoka, and I know the cast of Ahsoka took this really hard. They praised him on set. It's going to be, he's only got a couple more projects, including Ahsoka at that point. So thank you, Mr. Stevenson, for all your dedication to this, and our thoughts and prayers do go out to your family and friends at this point. It is a big loss for the community.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, I'm not trying to be cliche, but as always, just, appreciate your loved ones while they're around, because it was one of the photos that was sharing the article of news this week that I saw, and it was a picture of him at Celebration. I was like, geez, that was that was like a month ago or so. Mm-hmm. It was, because it was, was that on May the 4th? When did they do Celebration? I can't remember, but it was end of April, right? April. But even then, that's like just a month ago, right? So it's crazy that just a month ago he's there. Like, he doesn't look like anything in terrible health. He was doing panels. We're talking about Ahsoka. So it is always nice when we still have that work, and I feel like people will appreciate him more, because unfortunately it's one of those things that you should always try and give your flowers while people are here. And and everything he did, he was always solid. He's always solid or good. I know you and I are both Dexter fans. I remember he had like a good run on that show as far as being a villain in
Rome. I loved him in Rome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I remember in Dexter, because I was a fan of Warzone, but I remember he came in one of the later seasons where the show was not the greatest, but he was this really refreshing villain. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, like Ray Stevens. So like he's a guy that he's definitely an underappreciated talent, and hopefully with Ahsoka, people will kind of recognize it. But yeah, go back and watch some of the stuff, and it's yeah, too soon, but check out his stuff, and yeah, thoughts with his family and his loved ones. So
Yeah. So, but yeah, we will end our news at that point and get into listener feedback and fact or fiction. So we'll take that last ad break for the evening. So as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they could be a bit loud. Give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right. So, questions this week. Brent, even though he's off, he does his due diligence and puts out the Spidey signal at that point. So, we got 2 questions this week. First one from Anthony DC Outlaw. It says, either the return of some of the X-Men from the Deadpool movies, do you all think that they'll carry over into the MCU, or just continuity before the time travel shenanigans ensue, similar to what I'm expecting Batfleck in The Flash? What do you think, Travis?
I think it's the latter, if that's true, which I think we all can assume. I'd say get your expectations. I don't think Affleck and Keaton are having a scene together. As much as fun as I wish they pulled off, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that it is a time travel situation or a universe-ending situation where it is Deadpool. If you want to go into this in the 3 acts, the first act will be a regular Deadpool universe movie of him doing his thing. Maybe that's when he bumps into a Mobius, a Wolverine. I think the second act will be some kind of time travel-ish, multiverse stuff, however you want to describe it. And I think act 3 will also be our climactic thing. Maybe he'll say goodbye to some of these characters, and it'll be him ending in the MCU. So I think it will be before he goes, and that's why I think it will be a send-off. So I think it is they stay back. I don't think anyone's coming with him. I think it's him and Wolverine getting in shenanigans all over the place. I don't think it's so much Deadpool and his cast getting into shenanigans.
Yeah, and especially like you said, with Halle Berry posting that picture today, driving some more interesting scuttlebutt of whether she's just having fun or is she saying more. You know, we've said it before. You and I have said it. Brent and I have said it. Whoever is going to become the next Wolverine, I don't envy that person at all.
No,
I just don't. And but I like with everyone. I give everyone a fair shot at that point. I don't try to compare them to it because I always have Hugh Jackman's role in it. But yes, this is the swan song for the Fox universe with the X-Men characters. The times we'll get to see them in the Deadpool movie, if that's true, and the others we may get to see in Secret Wars.
Yeah. I think those are the headliners you see.
Yeah.
Like you don't see Warhead in Secret Wars. You see Magneto and Xavier there,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be, I think it'll just stuck in the Deadpool movie, and that's where we'll say our goodbyes to them. So, but well, hey, I'll still enjoy it. But
oh yeah.
And our last question from Amara Daniels: where is Brent in tonight's episode? And no, I'll do you one better. Why is Brent? I think Brent asks that every day when he looks at himself in the mirror. He says, "Why am I? Why am I Brent?"
As Spubs has the scoop, the Spider-Verse Whopper took him down. He did post a picture in the last 24 hours of me and the Whopper, so I think he knew he's gonna go get on the Wednesday, and he was gonna eat it, and it might take him down, and I think it did. I haven't heard of him since he ate the Whopper, so. That could be it for him. I respect him for doing it because I'm also a guy that had to get like the Batman winged pizza or whatever. The color of that bun does look a little questionable, so I do hope him and David are all right. But
I did ask him, I saying, neither one of you have an allergy to red dye where you guys lose your mind, right?
Yeah. So hopefully, maybe he won't be on the Spider-Verse review. Who knows what that burger does to him? But
yeah, exactly. But I do know he survived it at that point. So.
That's good.
But he said, okay, but really, after Deadpool 3, do you see the other actors of the Fox films return, or should Marvel start introducing new actors? Not counting Reynolds, he's probably staying.
Yeah.
I think we kind of both kind of alluded to that. I think they're going to cast new actors. I think Feige is giving this one last shot just to kind of give them their due, give them their flowers at that point, and then planning. As he said before in interviews, people, why have you talked about the X-Men? He's just like, we got to do this right. Just like we're taking our time with Fantastic Four, I'd rather them take their time and get the right casting instead of just rushing to say, hey, we're finally doing the X-Men. It doesn't work right now for what they're planning in these phases.
Yeah, and I don't think like the X-Men, I think they can be, but I don't think they're the same level as like Spider-Man and Batman and like if Downey were to come back as Iron Man. But I think X-Men, at least that first movie in the MCU is a property that's kind of bulletproof. It's kind of going to be a hit no matter what. Now it will depend on that. Like if it's a great movie, people want to see more X-Men. If it's not, people go, the MCU X-Men's not my thing. But it's the thing, that's where you don't really have to wait. That's why I've always said too with this whole superhero fatigue thing. The same way people after Endgame said, "Oh, I'm done," there will be those people after Secret Wars like, "Okay, no, I'm actually done this time." And then what's going to happen? You're going to get an X-Men movie now. It's like, okay, I'm back in. So that it's kind of like a ace up the hole or ace up the sleeve. You don't have to play, especially if they're doing this old generation say bye, because not only saying bye to them, as we've talked about before, like Foggy was a part of most of those movies. You know, he was a bit like, he's the guy, Jackman's told the story, he was the guy sneaking him comics on the set of X-Men because the director said, we don't want you to read comics, and Foggy's like, hey, have you read this comic book? So it's like there's a huge emotional attachment to that, and even then there could be a chance that Secret Wars, this era, could be it for Feige, right? He could move on to something else in Disney. So I think there's kind of like a sentimental thing of like, hey, saying goodbye to all these actors and properties that kind of got me to this point. I think, like you said, Amari, Deadpool is the Joker card. He's the one that does stick because it's Ryan Reynolds. He's that character you can, and it's just kind of, Ryan Reynolds is a big star if he wants to do it. It's different if Reynolds says, hey, after this I'm done, then sure, you could recast. But I think Reynolds is the type of guy that he's going to do it. He's going to do it for a while. If they let him, he's going to do it for a while. Especially, I do think people keep doing this thing of like, oh, when's the MCU, not Sony? When's the MCU going to get $1 billion movie? I don't care that's radar. I think Wolverine and Deadpool will be $1 billion movie. I think that's going to be a massive, massive hit. So, yeah, he's moving to the G.I. Joe verse after 2023. Then him and Bob Iger has some big falling out, you know.
Marvel Comics just got back Rom, so
there we go.
So bringing Rom into the MCU, you know, that'll Rom the Space Knight. Come on.
Yeah. So no, I'm with Chris where I think other than Deadpool and you, Amari, everyone will be different, and I actually want that. I love Ian McKellen as a big deal. I love Fassbender. I love Xavier having Stewart and Mac. Like, there's been some great, even in the films with Apocalypse, like Sophie Turner, that was good cast. Like, X-Men has some really good casting around, but for me, when I get the MCU X-Men, I want them to be our new class of actors and actresses or whoever they may cast. That's why I still have the theory that the reason they're bringing Hugh Jackman back is because I still think they're going to do Laura in the X-Men. I think that's the smarter route, is do Laura first, and you can get a Jackman or you can get a Wolverine like down the line. But people won't be missing, because I think now with him coming back for this, and we kind of assume a Secret Wars, I think it makes it even harder now for an actor. It would have been hard even if he did Logan, which was 2017. Now let's say he's in Secret Wars, that's in 2027, 28 or something like that. People are going to be loving Jackman again. So that's why I feel like I think they're going to go with Laura, but everyone else I think will be new, and this is just a goodbye to everybody, which we've had multiple goodbyes. So I'm down for another goodbye. So
yeah, you know, we'll say goodbye to Toby and Andrew, and we'll just see him again later.
Yeah.
You know?
Never say never, right?
Yeah,
never say never again. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so thanks for all the questions. We appreciate it, and let's get into Fact or Fictions from last week before Travis hits us with his. And so these were mine from last week. In Echo, Daredevil will only cameo in one episode. 39% said fact, 61% said fiction. What say you?
Oh, I want that to be fiction. And I can't remember because I did listen. Did you clarify if it was just him in costume or just the character overall, just Matt and Daredevil?
I did not clarify.
Or was there no clarification? Okay.
There was no clarification, but we'll say Daredevil in costume.
I think that's a fact for one. I think there's a chance we could see Matt in a post-credit or just a little stinger at the end of an episode. But Daredevil in costume, I think it's very similar to She-Hulk one. I know, yes, technically in the finale he was wearing the costume, but like he only kicked butt in one episode, right? So I feel like,
well, he could have kicked butt in a different way, but we're gonna leave it at that.
Exactly. Yeah, he kicked butt in the streets in one episode and stuff like that. So yeah, I unfortunately think that, but at the same time, we're about to get. What is it? How many episodes is it again? 18 or something like that? Yeah, so we're going to get enough.
I'm still not fully fathoming 18 episodes at that point. I know they're going to probably split the season, but it's just like I need to see 18 episodes in the can before I'm ready to believe it. So,
but either way, we're getting a whole show of him, so that's why I can't be greedy. It's like, okay, we'll get our Matt Murdock time again. So
We're not going to be stuck at 6 episodes. We don't have to worry about
No.
that right now. Yeah. All right, number 2, Fact or Fiction. In Loki season 2, we will not see any new variants of Loki outside of Sylvie. 38% said fact, 62% said fiction, and I was a fact on this.
I'm going fiction because I know there's been some rumors that I think something will get sneaked in there. I even if it's a Loki variant we've seen again, and even then, like,
Loki comes back.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And you're not counting like another. What's the rule on another Tom Hiddleston variant Loki? Like the way we've seen, it has to be a different actor.
That will count as a variant.
Okay,
if it's Hiddleston, like I'm just saying, it's that new version of Loki that Hiddleston's doing, not our Loki, but the other one, and then Sylvie.
I think I'll say fiction will get maybe just one, one, because I don't think they're going to do that card again, because last season was a lot about that. I think it's more Sylvie, and I'm excited for us to get a trailer to see what is going on with this show. But yeah, I'll say
we're all kind of excited to see what's going on with this show.
yeah.
And the last one, in Loki season 2, we will see new variants of major established MCU characters. 67% said fact, 33% said fiction. Like personally, I said I was a fact just because I really want to dive into, like, we all thought we were going to get really into multiverse in first season. We really didn't. I'm hoping this season we truly get into the multiverse.
I'm saying fact because I still think a Thor, other than the Throg, I think a Thor equivalent is very likely. I still would love to see, like, on Sylvie's universe, like, what is there a Thor there? Is that also a female? Is that just Chris Hemsworth? Like, I don't think Hemsworth will be in this show, but I think there will be a Thor variant at some point. I really do. We already got it technically last season, right? I know it's just a guy in a jar, but like we still got it. So.
All in the game saying you should have stuck to different looking variants in Multiverse of Madness and Quantumania, like in Loki season 1.
But at the same time, I know people say that, but like in Loki season 1, we still got other variants that looked like Hiddleston, right? There was we got President Loki that was
we had a huge one that it was like an image, but we didn't like see him in live action. But yeah, we got a little bit of both.
Yeah, we got President Loki, so that's where it's like, yeah, it is kind of funny that every single King in the end credit looked like, majors, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you can change it up. It's comic books, like that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't really matter. You say, oh, that's just the variants that look like him, and now look, there's 10 other variants. Because like, look at Doctor Strange when he sees all the endings of Infinity War, what he sees like 13,000 or something. So it's like, to me, each of those, you could. It's unlimited. It's an easy recast. It's not easy because there's a movie called Kang Dynasty, but if it ever happens, it's an easy one. Multiverse magic. There you go.
Exactly.
Done.
Boom. They all got wiped out. The real one was always hiding in the background. So.
Or they changed their image because everyone knows what Kang looks like now. So they got to, it's just like it's comic books. It's an easy, it's the situation's not easy, but the actual in-story thing, people will get over it, So.
Exactly. It's like what Rudy said. I'm here. Let's get over it. So.
Yeah, maybe it's Terrence Howard again. He just every recast, they're like, it's gonna be
time,
you,
baby. Guess what? Now it's this time.
He's been our our 616 variant the whole time, Rhodey in disguise. Like he's been Kang this entire time. It's like Skrulls, but
very good. All right, so what do you got for us?
Okay, so I actually got 4 because one's a dinger and one's just going to be hit at Brent. So I'm going to start here, and you're going to put this out, or I'll hack the account.
I'll put him out.
I want to hear everyone's opinion. It's a more of opinion-based one. Logan is the greatest Marvel film of all time, fact or fiction. So we're going to get the people voting, see what they say. I am a fact. If you want to say, there's tons of them. Endgame, Black Panther, Spider-Verse, there's tons of options, but I'm saying fact on that one, and I want to hear everyone else.
You're saying there's not an if and or but. It's your number one or not at all.
Yeah, number one at all. Yeah, that's why it's the greatest and stuff like that. So I want to see where the audience lies because there's a lot of great ones in there. But that's what I'm saying. That's the first one. Where are you, Chris?
I'm a fiction on it just because it's in my top, but it's not my number one. I have to be honest. I'm being honest.
Is it still Winter Soldier?
If we're talking about Marvel at this point,
just Marvel.
Yes, just Marvel. Yes, it's Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's another great one. And that's the thing. We're lucky where you can make a top 10 list of Marvel films, and there's all 10 of them, you could make an argument for, this could be the Grace, this could be the Grace, where a couple years, a decade ago, you couldn't do that. So that's my fun one, but I'll get a laugh when Brent hears this, and I'll be excited to see that poll. I don't think it's going to win the fact, but I'll be excited to see it.
Yeah, you'll have to wait 2 weeks for his answer.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a good build-up, though. It's worth it. So, okay, so this is one that I feel like it's been enough time for Guardians. It's not a big spoiler, but it's like a minor spoiler for Guardians. So if you've not seen it, skip ahead a section. But I'm going to say that, or at least what I'm proposing is we will not see Star-Lord till at least 2026. So that's me kind of saying like the projects that are next year, and obviously 25 is a little iffy now, but apparently Thunderbolts is filming. I'm saying in the next 2 years, we're not going to see him at all. I guess not. Okay. Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. I'm not going to count What If, right? Because he could be in a What If. I'm saying live action Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, not till 2026 or later.
I'll go fact on that one. I talked about that kind of, and I believe David and Brent talked about it on the review. But when I got to speak on it at that point. That was my question. Is like, when do we see him next? And I think it's going to be a break for a while. And I think at least 2 years seems to be just enough that Pratt's gone away from the character. It did say he will return, so it's not necessary. There is something of a plan.
It's
to bring
happening.
Back
they have a handshake
Star-Lord
agreement or something.
Yeah, it's just kind of like Tom Holland's. Like, we know you're coming back. It's just a question of when.
And that's the thing where I am a fact on this as well, but with Marvel, they're always pesky and you just never know where the guy could pop up in an end credit, right? Like, even though they were in the Avengers together, when Bruce Banner just randomly popped up in Iron Man 3 end credit to be like a, therapist, that's not a doctor. It's like, that can happen all the time where, because he's on Earth now, very easy for him to have some comedic end credit in one of these movies or Disney Plus shows, right? And I'm not saying that would be his return. So I'm going to say fact as well. It's a bit more appealing if the strike doesn't go on too long, because then it's an obvious fact. But just because we kind of have 2024 and 25 set, that's why I threw it out there. So that's one. Okay, so I will say this, that we will not learn the director of Secret Wars this year. We got Comic-Con coming up. I know we got surprises. I know there's production on stuff. Obviously, might be shut down. We don't know how far Waldron was into the script of Secret Wars, so I don't know if it's done or not. But I'm going to say there's no director announced this year. Maybe rumored, but we don't have the official Marvel stamp of, hey, so-and-so's directing Secret Wars.
I'll go fact on that one. Just, a lot of the stuff going on behind the scenes is that one, and they don't have to name a director at this point because of a lot of different changes going on and a lot of things are moving pieces at that point, especially if that one's going to be the last one. That one is always going to be pushed off a little bit further. They have time. They can look at and maybe find one of the directors that some of the current slate may get the anointing at that point. Maybe Coogler might say, you know what, I've had some time away. You've pushed the movie out. I'm free to do it.
Oh, I like that. S-Bubs is going to retweet the Logan one on the Marvel Studios news feed that he runs. Go check that. That's where I get a lot of news. So that'll be good. Do you have a leading candidate? I don't anymore now. I really don't. And Coogler, I never believed it. I was just kind of, that was my pick. But then after the Black Panther media tour, it felt like it was a really it's funny. It went from he had a very sly answer, and then 2 weeks later, it was very stern for everybody. Like, no, he's not doing it. And it sounded like because he's doing other stuff with Marvel. He's doing the series, doing the show, and then he's doing the BP3. So it just sounded like, this guy sounds like he would get burnt out if they made him do Secret Wars as well. So I really don't. Maybe even just Daniel, Creighton, maybe he gets it again. Maybe they like what he's doing with Dynasty and they just say, hey, just do Secret Wars as well. So honestly, for now, I'm going to say
pull of Russo's, just have him direct both. So.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I'm going to say as a safe choice. I'm going to say he's gonna end up doing both. That's just because it's a guy he can trust, and I feel like they want to be safe. And I know, like we talked about the hot mic and stuff, people have talked about how they are hiring more acclaimed writers, but I don't think you're going to be like, oh, and we got James Cameron for Secret Wars. I think they're still going to stay in house. So that's my pick right now. Is Creighton's going to do both? I think.
And my only strike against that one is how much he wants to do Shang-Chi before Kang Dynasty. That's my only hit.
And again, at that point, if he really wants to do Shang-Chi, doesn't want someone else to, again, I would just say just delay those Avenger movies then. Avengers are always going to be a hit, even if they're delayed by a year. I'm sure there's some other projects. And maybe you get a year where there's only 2 MCU films a year. Oh my God. It's it's like, that's where I feel like, just there's no clock. There is always a clock, of course, in life. But I just mean like, hopefully there's not. So yeah, I'll say Kraven for now. But yeah, so I just want to throw it out there because I've just seen a lot of people now the scuttlebutt of like, what are the big things going to be announced at Comic-Con? I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, you'll get the F4 cast, you'll get that. I'm like, I'm not so sure you're going to get that Secret Wars director thing. I think they can wait on that and stuff. So. Yeah. All right, so my last one to tie in with the game we talked about today, Peter Parker will die in Spider-Man 2.
I could see it. I don't want it.
No. But you got Miles now as the second main character. Obviously, we've seen it done before in the Ultimate Universe of that passing of the torch. So, yeah, that's why I threw it out there after today. I'm like, okay, are they going to kill this guy? Is he going to do like some sacrificial play? You know,
I'm gonna say fiction just because of what you and I discussed, like Green Goblin coming into play. Not saying Miles can't be the Spider-Man to go against Green Goblin, but there's something kind of classic about having Goblin at least go against Parker.
Yeah,
you know.
But again, is that the twist? Is that the spin on it? That this time it's a new story because it's Miles versus
and that's fine too.
Right?
I will not be like, burn down Insomniac. How dare they kill Peter Parker? Such quote unquote woke Disney again or woke Marvel at that point. No. I am a huge fan of Miles Morales at that point. If they want, if this is the last time we see Peter Parker in this one because he sacrifices himself, so be it. Miles is a great character to carry on the tradition. I'll be excited to play him in 3 if he goes against whoever it is, Green Goblin or otherwise. But I'm going to be a fiction for this, but it's not. It's like a 51% fiction.
I'm with you. I'm going to be a fiction. I think he does stay around for the Goblin storyline, but I do think it would be like, obviously there's that big death in the first one, which I didn't see coming. And I think obviously people are talking about it, but I feel like it's probably pretty obvious we're at least going to get a trilogy of these games, maybe even more, right? And I feel like Spider-Man 3, that's almost like when we get to that, I feel like every one of us is going to go, oh yeah, Peter's going to die. Like I feel like that's almost the easy one.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like, well, I'll go like, oh, it's going to go to Miles. So I feel like 2 is the time where actually you could do it and have it be a shock and be like, man, they actually went there. This is crazy. And they've already done a game with Miles, a mini one. Then you got this. The transition to him getting his full game wouldn't feel unwarranted. It wouldn't feel out of place at all. Yeah. So that's where I'm like you. I'm like a 51, 49. I'm still going to say fiction, but I wouldn't put it past. If you were to tell me that, I would not say you're lying because I think it's, you got, and even then maybe maybe Norman becomes Goblin in the next game, but the Harry and Peter storylines wrapped up here, so there's not much left over there, and you can kind of just have, and maybe that's something different. That's what I do like about this idea of like Harry maybe having the suit this time and go, oh man, see, that would be, oh my god.
As Bub's saying, Peter dies in 2, Ben Reilly in 3 confirmed.
But honestly, that could work because
that would be kind of fun.
Because imagine again, because the general audience, they still have no idea about the Spider-Man the Clone Saga. You have to be a comic book fan. Like when people go up to, when they look at when I did Spider-Man for Halloween, I had to explain to everybody, okay, well, it's a clone of Peter Parker, but at first he doesn't know he's like, people don't know that like we do, or like the, like Twitter users doing stuff like that. So imagine that if you get an E3, or I guess E3's dead, you get a PlayStation showcase 5 years from now, Peter Parker's dead, and it's all about Miles, and the teaser is like, you see Peter Parker again, you're like, isn't he dead? And it's a clone saga. Oh my god! Yeah, you get the Jackal in there.
Hey, that is one where Travis is gonna buy that Ben Reilly PS5 edition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, PS6 at that point probably, right? Well, yeah. You know what? I'm flipping. I'm saying he's gonna die because
Good job, S-Bubs.
That would be such a great twist for the general audience.
I like that.
Yeah, and maybe you don't show his hair being blonde, you just show Peter's face, and Miles will be like, Peter, and then you cut Spider-Man 3. It's like, oh man, and Brandon will also be pretty happy with that. Yeah. So that's that. I would love the Clone Saga because I feel like also video games might be the best place to tackle it because I don't think they're going to do it in the live action movies. I think we'll get.
I don't think they have the capacity at this point to do it.
I think we'll get hints of it in Spider-Verse, but video games actually would be the perfect place to do the Clone Saga. So you know what? Yeah, book it. I'm in. Fact, Peter's dying.
S-Bubs, you better go to Insomniac and get that on there at that point. Get hired by them. That's a bravo.
You got to intern there, work your way up, and pitch this idea of the Clone Saga. You can make so much DLC, Ben Reilly deal. Oh, yeah. They already made the suit. Great pitch. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Just on an off chance, Fandomore must be listening because they just tweeted out what is the greatest superhero movie of all time.
of all time.
Of all time.
Oh yeah, I'm still on the Dark Knight train for all time.
Yeah.
I have troubles with my favorite because sometimes it's the Batman, sometimes it's Logan, sometimes it is Spider-Verse. But for the Godfather, I still give it to Mr. Nolan there.
There you go.
Yeah.
But all right, well, we're going to pause on Comic Book Club since Brendan's not here, so we will continue our next week looking at Secret Invasion number 6. And Brent and I, since we've both been busy, I have no hints to drop about what the theme and the choices are going to be next week. So nothing for you. I'm not even going to lie. Just we need to get through one more week. We need to get through Spider-Verse.
I forgot. Is the next one? Is
next
it a
one's listener choice?
It's a listener choice. Okay, and like the next thing's the Marvel. So you could really do anything out there really for you guys. So you got a free run because after Secret Invasion we got anything to Marvel. So it's everything there.
But as always, Mr. Snell, thank you for coming back on and reuniting the kindle of what started this whole show. So
exactly,
always, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm always excited to come back. Even this week being smaller news, it's more news than we ever had the first 6 months and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited to be back. And like I said, I'm hoping.
Stop it, S-Bub. Stop it.
Yeah, we won't read that out for spoiler war. Well, I guess you guys talked about it.
We talked about it post credits, but yeah, we kind of.
It's hard not to, right? Like, because I remember when I was listening to you guys, and Brent is a few months behind, and you guys were talking about the supposed death, and he's like, "Oh, I'll read it when it happens." But that was just like everybody was tweeting about that, like every news article. It's one that's like. You couldn't hide from
Marvel
it.
Did it like 2 weeks before the darn issue comes out? I can understand if it comes out that day, and I said it then. Putting it out that day, fine. That's free reign, but not 2 weeks before. Come on.
I guess they're trying to like boost sales, but I feel like it's kind of maybe done the opposite. I know people might buy it out of curiosity, but if you're buying the Soul issues, I don't know, maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I don't think they'll be covering that one. But no, it's great to be back. Like I said, once soccer ends with the little one, I hope to at least get back to my monthly, sometimes a little more appearances. It's always fun. I'll get back on here when Brent's here, and we'll have to have a full-on discussion about Logan and the worries of his
Patreon.
way.
That could be a fun Patreon.
Yeah, he needs to see the light and stuff like that. This man's watching something else. I saw his rankings, but no, it's always great. I was happy to film for Brent. I'll be very excited to listen to your guys' Spider-Verse review next week, which again hasn't even hit me. That Spider-Verse is just over a week away, and that's exciting because that's a movie that I was saying on Geekverse when I was talking with Kirkland. It's like I remember when we got it delayed, and it was like delayed by a year. It's like, oh, that's so long away, and now we're 8 that we can taste it. It's literally I have a ticket for it. Now I did have a ticket for No Time to Die at one point that got delayed, but that's not happening anymore. No. It's actually coming out in 8 days, and I'm excited to listen to your guys' episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're excited to listen to Geekverse's review. So tell people how they can follow you and plug the lovely show.
Yeah, just at Travis B. Snell. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm not as active as I used to be, but I'm always tweeting some out. Usually the show links. And yeah, you can obviously check me out when I'm on here. Check out Geekverse. Usually on there about like 2 to 3 times a week there. And yeah, it's always a fun time. And thank you to everyone in the chat that listened, and thank you to everyone else that listened after the fact.
Yes, and as always, I want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout. Get $2 off every single order. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. New episode dropping this Sunday. New guest, well, it's always going to be a new thing, but it's definitely it's one that I have continued to plug left and right for people who want to get into comics. So if you have been a listener of mine at that point, you might have a very strong hint about that. You will definitely have no qualms about it when I drop the preview on Friday of what it's going to be. But I'm very excited to have this person on, and so that'll be dropping Sunday morning. And you can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the show at Marvel A Podcast. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email, DMs are open, ask questions, fact or fictions. Continue to rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed, GUA Network feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast of choice. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us live in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, Travis, post-credits today. I know if you're a patron of Geekverse, you kind of did a huge, breakdown of all your predictions for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at that point. But I think you might have one or two out there that haven't been put out there.
Yeah, and I actually just remembered one now. So I guess they're predictions, but not so much predictions, more of like a question as far as it will lead to your prediction.
Hmm.
So there's two I was going to hit you with. One, what do you think? I'm wearing it. What do you think Ben Riley's screen time is actually in this project? And two, now that we're 8 days away, how confident are you that we'll see anything from 90s Spider-Man animated? And I feel like you're the better man to ask than Geek First because
Yeah.
they haven't seen those two and stuff like that. So that the Spider-Man animated one, that's the one I forgot last night I was going to bring up. I was like, oh, right. Like, I feel like that is for like our community and our age group. That's the big one that there's been so many that have been confirmed and that still's just been nowhere. And for me,
Yeah.
it's hurt. It's gonna hurt if we do get both of them and not even a single, even if that voice actors are not around. So, what do you think the odds are we're getting that one? And what do you think Ben Riley's screen time is?
I'll take the animated question part first. I think the animated one, if it's there, it's non-speaking and it just happens to be walking by. It's like blinking. You
Oh
miss it.
no!
I-
You gotta get
I
the
hate-
voice actor. He's so good.
I know. I put that was my prediction for Ben Riley, and I had
Yeah.
to, and
I
I
liked
had
that
to
one.
and I had to pull it because Sandberg broke his own
Sandberg.
news. So thank you, Sandberg.
Yeah.
Ben Riley's screen time because like he has been very much featured in. Brent and I pre-ordered the Funko for him from
Yeah.
Walmart at that
He's in
point.
board
He's
games.
on board games, stuff like that. So I would say if he's as much as he's in it, I would say 15 to 20 minutes of screen time, which
Wow. Okay, that's more than I thought.
yeah,
That's good. Okay.
15 to 20 minutes just because of how much promotional stuff he is in, and like he's got his own poster. Like he may be one of the newer members that comes in kind of later, but
He's gonna be the one that dies first, like Peter Parker.
stop
in the
it!
fir-
Don't do that.
It wouldn't surprise me though,
No,
right?
it
Because he
wouldn't.
could get like a big hero death like Chris Pine's Peter got. So, I just thought about that now, and that would make me, because I'm gonna cry when I see him. Then I'm gonna cry again when he dies, and it better not be Miguel. If Miguel kills him, we're gonna have some issues, and stuff like that. No, he
Yeah.
won't. It might look like Miguel, but I don't think it's gonna actually be Miguel. Like it'll be the Spot being a little mischievous and stuff like that. So.
But yeah, so box office, I kind of talked about this a couple of weeks ago in some Fact or Fictions that kind of played humorous that Across the Spider-Verse will have a better box office weekend than Craven would.
Oh,
at that point.
absolutely, yeah. Now for sure it's looking like it. I don't think Craven's making more than 40, so.
Yeah, I like seeing it's gonna like the predictions of it's right now at least gonna double its initial domestic at that point, which was 35. I am at right now for initial domestic. I would say 55 to 60 would be very good for me.
Oh yeah, I to me anything that is like 20 million over the Spider-Verse one, and there I go again. 20 million over the other one is really really good. So I'm in like a 75 or I'm like a 65 70. That's where I think it's gonna land.
And I think the social media embargo lifts tomorrow, right? Or if you're listening to this today.
Yeah, you're gonna get an ugly camera angle right here because my other camera's dying on me. But yeah, I think it actually for when we're recording this, I think it lifts in an hour and a half. Actually,
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's like so I think it lifts tonight, which is a weird time to be doing a nighttime. But
Hey, but we got worried when it was supposed to release only 2 days before. We were
Yes.
like, I don't know about that. That's
Yeah.
never a good sign.
And again, that shows confidence with the tracking's really good. They're releasing it 6 days before like the initial embargo and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's good, and especially because obviously it's not completely done yet, but even then our school season will still be soon, and I think it will still be in theaters. So yeah, like I said, I was surprised. I didn't think it had this big of a jump, but it's happening, and that's good because I want this to be successful, and hopefully it's reviews well and stuff like that. Good word of mouth. So
Yeah, but I'll stick with my predictions about the Spot that they're angling Miguel to be looking like the main villain, but Spot will be in the background, kind of screwing up the multiverse to get to a point where they're not noticing it, and he's basically become the big bad at the end where. What Miguel has been trying to protect, he got distracted by Miles at that point.
Yeah, I think this is a redo of 2016, whether it's Eisenberg's Luther in BVS or whether it is Baron Zemo in Civil War. Obviously, in Civil War, look at that poster. It's all about Cap versus Iron Man, right? But really, at the end of the day, it was Zemo in the background. I think you've been right the whole time about that, where Spot will seem like a nuisance, but then the third one, he will be the bigger villain. And whether if Miguel dies being a hero or if Miguel survives, it'll be like okay, we were all wrong. We need to work together. I think it will be clear that the Spot is the main antagonist, and we got to take him down the third movie. And maybe it's the Spot and somebody else, but definitely the Spot.
Yeah, and any kind of deaths at this point? I know you already put it out there, so I'll let. I'm not gonna take your fire on that one, but I did like how you all were talking about death. I'm on the side like it's kind of like what I thought with Guardians. It's like they're hinting at a lot of deaths and none of them happened. I think they're doing the same thing here. We're gonna lose some maybe Spider-Verse characters at this point, but our main group, even some of our new ones that'll be part of the main group, are kind of safe for one more film. Gwen, I think is just too popular of a character, and it becomes that kind of character that I don't want the discussion if she is killed in this movie, or even in the third one. I don't want that discussion because it never turns out right at all.
Yeah, and then because you get into the argument of like, did you fridge a character stuff? And for me, it's like, as I've said, I think I've said this on this show before too, that sometimes fridging a character to me is not bad. It's not always great, but sometimes it because people act like any story now where someone dies, they go after revenge, that's bad. To me, it's like that's one of the most like classic stories is revenge, So, but I understand there's certain characters that shouldn't be, and I think Gwen would be one of those characters. That's why I feel like I think that she does have a chance to go, but I think you'd have to do it in a certain way. But of course, that would definitely be a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, but a post credits, I would say, just kind of like a Miguel kind of revelation. We will probably get a revelation of some spider that we didn't see coming that has been like, oh, who would it be? I don't know at this point because I don't know who else is like how many variants we've seen versus how many we haven't seen. What is that one variant that could be that, oh my gosh, they're going there?
Web Weaver is one if you turn on the Greek first predictions, but no.
Nope. I got one, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, why this? It's gonna be Madam Web." Madam Web.
Madam Web's not a terrible pick though.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be because the movie, so they might be like, let's separate that.
Yeah.
But it could be someone like that. It could be another Spider-Woman character, like an actual because
Silk.
Silk. Which Spider-Woman's in this one again?
This is well, I mean, she is playing Jessica Drew.
So it's Jessica Drew. Yeah. Okay, so could be some of the other. Could be some of them. I still also think, because I talked about this on Geekverse, I think the other possibly, if you're talking about a spider variant, that's a big. Like, oh crap, I think some sort of symbiote something, it's timely right now, but I think that would be, again, this spoils for my Geek First one, but I don't care, I'll say it here again, is I would love it if they go in one of these multiverses where we meet a Peter who never took the symbiote off and he stayed that way.
Love that.
And I would love if that if you got a symbiote like end credit, I think a lot of people that would get very exciting. I think another end credit is potentially the obviously any of the live action ones. I think could be a chance, right? Of looks like my friends need some help, and it's one of the three, right? Like it's an animation that looks like Toby, or Andrew, Toby, and then the other one I did think I agree that he will be in the film, but I still thought there was still a chance that Ben Reilly could actually be the end credit, and they're just showing him off now, but maybe he has a bigger role in the next one, so he's there. So I think there's some options, but I'm very curious to see what it's going to be and who it's going to be.
But yeah, so we will see next week. Got my tickets for Thursday night at that point. So again, our review will be Saturday night with our special guest at that point. Hopefully schedules don't change, but we'll see. And but we'll see you next Saturday. Audio drop Sunday. Again, thank you, Travis, for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.